Here was the strategy I used. My mother said, just do really good in school and basically everything will work out. That's it. Basically stay out of jail. Don't do anything that would, derail you permanently. Don't get anybody pregnant. Don't be a drug addict when you're a teenager. Don't get in jail. And just really pay attention to your schoolwork. Now, what did that get me? Well, so I graduated and had to get a scholarship to the college that I wanted. So I got a scholarship. How hard would it be to get a financial scholarship if you were a black student who did good work and stayed out of trouble? Not hard, right? If you just do well in school and stay out of trouble, you could get a college scholarship if you're black, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you could go to college. If you go to college, and again, you stay out of trouble, you don't get somebody pregnant when you're too young to support them, just basic stuff. If you do those things, and you're a black man, let's say a black man, just to have a specific example, you're a black man with a college education in the United States. How do you do in life? Good. Every time. Because do you know how many corporations want to hire a qualified minority? All of them. All of them. All of them. Yeah, every one of them. Do you know how many corporations are looking to hire more white people? Not a fucking one of them. None. So here are the 3 times I lost jobs for being white and male. Here's the most provocative thing I might ever say. And so I'll try to say it as carefully as possible. Again, with great respect. I always respect people. Just automatically. It doesn't matter who you are. I always respect people. What I don't respect is strategies. People have bad strategies. I don't respect the strategy. I always respect the person, though. Now, I think bad strategies come from bad, I don't know, maybe you've never seen a good strategy, so you just don't know what it looks like. It's not something that necessarily common sense will get you to. I don't know if you can come up with a good strategy just by thinking it through. Sometimes you have to see examples. That's the best thing. Oh, I'll do it like they did it. That's the whole point of case studies in business school. You want to see examples of a lot of stuff, then you know what to pick from. I'm going to make a provocative claim that no matter your color, no matter your gender, and no matter a lot of different things, anybody who used the strategies that I've used has succeeded. That's it. It's very provocative. Anybody who's used the strategies for life that I've used has succeeded, eventually. I told you my story that racial and sexual discrimination was a huge problem in my life, a gigantic problem. In fact, arguably the biggest problem, my biggest career impediment was race and gender discrimination. All right, I just told you the story. I didn't make that up. But here's the second part, and of course I wrote the book behind me. How to fail at almost everything and still win big. And I talk about developing systems, and I talk about building your skill stack, which is what I did. And I would argue that anybody who did what I did has a good life. Meaning that, of course, you could have health tragedies, so there could be, exceptions. But generally speaking, here's what I did to succeed. All right? I'm going to tell you what formula I used. I want you to tell me if this would not work for black people. Okay? So here's the formula. I was in a small town with my parents didn't go to college, didn't even know much about what that was all about. We didn't have money. I won't go into the details, but we were, I'd say, lower middle income. We had enough to eat all the time, etc. So we never were hungry, but We had used cars. Let's put it that way. A lot of used stuff in my life. And here was the strategy I used. My mother said, just do really good in school, and basically everything will work out. That's it. Basically stay out of jail. Don't do anything that would, derail you permanently. Don't get anybody pregnant. Don't be a drug addict when you're a teenager. Don't get in jail. And just really pay attention to your schoolwork. Now, what did that get me? Well, so I graduated and had to get a scholarship to the college that I wanted. So I got a scholarship. How hard would it be to get a financial scholarship if you were a black student who did good work and stayed out of trouble? Not hard, right? If you just do well in school and stay out of trouble, you could get a college scholarship if you're black, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you could go to college. If you go to college, and again, you stay out of trouble, you don't get somebody pregnant when you're too young to support it, just basic stuff. If you do those things, and you're a black man, let's say a black man, just to have a specific example, you're a black man with a college education in the United States. How do you do in life? Good, every time. Because do you know how many corporations want to hire a qualified minority? All of them. All of them. All of them. Yeah, every one of them. Do you know how many corporations are looking to hire more white people? Not a fucking one of them. None. None. Do you know your white hiring people, just to pick an example, let's say the hiring manager at the big corporation sees you walk in and you're a black man and he's looking at your resume and you're a black man with the right qualifications for the job. What is the hiring manager, the white hiring manager, what do they feel like when a black man walks in and he's got exactly the qualifications you're looking for? They fucking salivate. They salivate. Because it fixes their problem. Do you know what that white hiring manager's biggest problem is? Can't hire enough qualified minorities. He wants to. It's in his job description. The freaking hiring manager won't even get a good bonus if he can't figure out how to get some diversity. Because it's so important in big corporations. So, you tell me that there's not a strategy for everybody to succeed in this country if they're smart enough to go to college. Now, not everybody's smart enough to go to college, right? Doesn't matter your gender or race, right? It's just lots of different people. But if you just change that to, instead of go to college, learn to trade. Learn to trade. That's it. Somebody stayed out of trouble, didn't get anybody pregnant, didn't become a drug addict, didn't join a gang, learned a trade, became a plumber. How's that black plumber going to do? Great. Because plumber is a good job? Great. So somebody tweeted at me that it was a sign of white privilege that I believe that more black people will be killed by poverty than the police. Now the first thing I thought was, what? I don't even know how that makes sense. I can't connect those dots. But I tweeted back that I lost 3 separate jobs for being white and male. True story, dumb fuck. I just add that curse word at the end because it gets their attention. But a lot of people don't believe that's true. Some of you have heard the story. You've heard of 2 of them, but there's one of them I've never mentioned in this context. So here are the 3 times I lost jobs for being white and male. First time was at my job at a bank. My boss called me in. She was a woman. And she said, we can't promote you because you're white and you're male. Directly. She said that the company got in trouble for not having enough diversity. And so they couldn't promote you if you're white or you're male. And she was calling me in to tell me directly. And again, directly. This is not something that I read between the lines. It's not something that I thought about afterwards and thought, maybe they were trying to discriminate against me. Nothing like that. in direct words, she said, "I'm afraid you won't get promoted here because you're white and you're male, and the orders have come down that, we got to slow down on that." So I quit. So that was the first job, career, you could say, because I thought my career was going to be in banking. So this was early 80s, I think. And so I went to Pacific Bell. It was the local phone company at the time, and I got on the management fast track. So they had a little program where they would identify people who were, maybe going to be senior management someday. I was finishing my MBA. I looked like a corporate guy on the way. And when it was about time, I'd been seasoned enough, and I was about ready for that big promotion. Because at the phone company, you could make a ton of money back in those days. The jobs were really good at the management levels. They paid a lot with bonuses and stuff. And I was ready for that big one it was called a director level. And I was thinking, next year or so, I'm going to get the big bump. My boss called me in his office and he said that he couldn't promote me. He just wanted to warn me. He couldn't promote me because I'm white and I'm male. He said it directly. Those very words, you're white, you're male, can't promote you. And he said that management had just sent the word down that they couldn't promote any white males because they too had gotten in trouble, didn't have any diversity in senior management. So that's 2 entire careers that went down the toilet because I'm white and male. And black people tell me I don't understand the effects of discrimination. Now, of course, I don't understand them in exactly the way any black man or any minority or even any woman would experience them. Of course not. But the only point I'm making is that you also don't know my life. You don't know my life. You don't know my life, just like I don't know yours. The third time it happened was after Dilbert was successful. Now, I'd quit. I'd given up on my corporate careers because of those experiences, and I started working on my side, my side hustle, if you will. And my side hustle was trying to get some comics published, and that went pretty well. Now, Dilbert took off, and of course I had to find a place I was working for myself. So I needed a job where I didn't have a boss who would tell me that I couldn't be promoted because of my race or my gender. So I thought, I got to work for myself, I guess. So I became an entrepreneur, if you will, and cartooning was one of the things I tried. So that worked out, and then the Dilbert TV show was created, fast forward in time. I created the Dilbert TV series on UPN. Now, UPN is a network that doesn't exist. I think the WB bought them or something. But at the time, they were the small network, and I intentionally took a deal with a small network because I thought I could be a big fish in a small network. And if you're the one they give attention to, you have a much better chance of success. So I thought, Dilbert would be kind of a big deal on UPN. Could be like The Simpsons made Fox a big network. That was The Simpsons was a big deal for Fox's history. And I thought, well, I could do that for UPN. So we go over there and we have a successful first season, and we get renewed. Yay, got renewed. In the second season, UPN decided to make a strategic change, and they decided that they would become a network focused on African American content. So UPN decided to become the African American content channel, and that was the end of my show. Now, the reasons given were other reasons, right? They moved it to a bad time slot. The ratings went down because it was in a bad time slot. And then they say, well, the ratings went down, so you're canceled. But of course, the ratings went down because they moved the time slot. That's the only reason it went down. So I lost my TV career because the product I make was not oriented for the African American community. So those are 3 enormous inflection points in my life based on racism. Am I interpreting that incorrectly? Would you now say that racism is exactly what I experienced and that on 3 separate occasions it knocked me off a pedestal?